Most people think building wealth requires something dramatic: a six-figure salary, a lucky stock pick, a brilliant business idea. But here's the uncomfortable truth. The path to your first $100,000 is usually incredibly boring. No viral crypto trades, no overnight success, no secret Wall Street strategy. Just small, repetitive habits that almost nobody finds exciting. And that's exactly why they work. Because while everyone else is chasing the next big financial breakthrough, the people quietly building wealth are doing the same simple things every month for years. Think of it like this. At first, these habits feel insignificant, almost pointless. Saving a few $100s, automating a small investment, checking your budget once a month. They feel like cobwebs, thin, fragile, easy to ignore. But over time, those cobwebs begin to stack, month after month, year after year. And eventually, those tiny strands transform into something far stronger: cables. Financial cables that support real wealth. And once those cables are strong enough, something incredible happens. You reach what many investors call the financial sweet spot. The moment your net worth hits around $100,000. Why is this number so powerful? Because that's the point where compound growth finally starts doing the heavy lifting. Before 100K, most of your wealth comes from your own effort, your savings, your discipline, your habits. But after 100K, your money starts working harder than you do. Investments begin generating meaningful returns. Growth starts accelerating. And suddenly, a goal like $1 million stops feeling impossible. It starts feeling inevitable. But here's the catch. Reaching that first $100,000 rarely happens through exciting decisions. It happens through boring consistency. The kind of habits that never trend on social media. The kind of strategies that don't make headlines. The kind of routines most people quit after a few months. Yet these are the exact habits that quietly build serious wealth. So in this video, we're going to break down 10 boring money habits that quietly build your first 100K. Habits that remove stress from your finances. Habits that make saving automatic. Habits that slowly transform your financial life without dramatic changes. Because the truth is simple. Wealth isn't built through intensity. It's built through consistency. And if you master these habits, you won't just reach 100K. You'll build the kind of financial system that can carry you far beyond it. Let's start with the first habit. The first boring habit that quietly builds $100,000 is something most people underestimate: automation. At first glance, automation sounds almost too simple to matter. After all, transferring money between accounts isn't exactly a life-changing strategy. But automation solves one of the biggest hidden enemies of wealth building: decision fatigue. Every financial decision you make during the day slowly drains your mental energy. Should I save this money or spend it? Should I invest now or wait? Should I move money to my savings account? When you rely on willpower to make these choices, eventually something happens. You get tired. You postpone the decision, and the money disappears into everyday spending. Automation removes that problem completely. Instead of asking yourself whether you should save money this month, the system saves it for you. Think of it as building a financial conveyor belt. The moment your paycheck arrives, the money immediately begins moving in different directions. Some goes towards your bills, some flows into your emergency fund, some moves directly into investments. You never have to make the decision again. And that's the secret. Wealth builders don't rely on discipline. They rely on systems. Imagine someone earning $4,000 a month. Without automation, that money sits in a checking account where it's easy to spend. But with automation, the moment the paycheck arrives, $600 moves into investments, $300 goes into savings, bills are automatically paid, and the remaining money becomes spending money. Suddenly, saving is no longer a decision. It's simply how the system works. This habit might feel boring, but over time it creates a powerful result. Because automation doesn't just save money once, it saves money every single month. 12 months becomes 5 years. 5 years becomes a decade. And those small automatic transfers slowly grow into tens of thousands of dollars. More importantly, automation eliminates the emotional roller coaster that many people experience with money. No guilt when spending, no stress about saving, just a quiet system running in the background of your life. And that system becomes the first cable in your financial foundation. Once automation is in place, the next habit becomes much easier to maintain because now you have a clear framework for how money should flow through your life. And that brings us to the second boring habit that quietly builds $100,000. Once automation is in place, the next boring habit becomes much easier to maintain. And that habit is following a conscious spending plan. Now, when people hear the word budget, they often imagine something restrictive. Spreadsheets, constant tracking, feeling guilty every time you buy something. But a conscious spending plan works differently. Instead of controlling every dollar you spend, it simply gives your money a clear direction. One of the most practical frameworks is the 50-30-20 rule. The idea is simple. Roughly 50% of your income goes to necessities, things like housing, groceries, transportation, and utilities. About 30% goes to lifestyle spending, restaurants, hobbies, entertainment, travel, the things that make life enjoyable. And the remaining 20% goes towards saving and investing. Now here's why this habit matters so much for building your first $100K. Most people don't fail financially because they earn too little. They fail because their spending expands to match their income. You get a raise, your apartment gets nicer, your car gets newer, your lifestyle quietly becomes more expensive, and before long, you're earning more money but saving exactly the same amount. This phenomenon is known as lifestyle inflation, and it quietly delays financial progress for years. A conscious spending plan protects you from that trap, because instead of letting spending grow randomly, you decide in advance where your money should go. You know how much is safe to enjoy, you know how much must be saved, and that clarity eliminates the constant tension many people feel with money. You can spend on the things that genuinely improve your life without guilt, and at the same time, you're consistently building your future. Think of this habit like setting lanes on a highway. Your money still moves forward, but it stays within boundaries that keep you moving towards your long-term goals. Over time, that consistency becomes powerful. Every month you follow the plan, another strand of that financial cable forms. Savings accumulate, investments grow, and your financial life becomes more stable. But even with a strong spending plan, there's another habit that determines whether wealth actually begins to grow. Because saving 20% of your income is helpful, but the real breakthrough happens when you learn to do something even more powerful, living significantly below your means. And that's the third boring habit that quietly builds $100K. If automation builds the system, and a conscious spending plan gives it structure, then living below your means is what accelerates everything. This is one of the simplest ideas in personal finance, and also one of the most ignored. Living below your means doesn't mean living miserably. It doesn't mean saying no to everything fun. And it definitely doesn't mean avoiding enjoyment. It simply means spend less than you earn consistently. The gap between your income and your expenses is where wealth is created. That gap is your engine. If you earn $3,000 per month and spend $2,800, your wealth grows very slowly. But if you earn $3,000 and spend $2,000, you now have $1,000 per month to invest. That difference changes everything because wealth doesn't grow from income alone. It grows from surplus. And surplus is created when expenses stay controlled. Many people increase their lifestyle every time their income increases. New phone, new car, bigger apartment, more subscriptions. Individually, none of these decisions seem dangerous, but together they shrink the financial gap. And without a gap, there is no wealth. Living below your means creates breathing room. It reduces stress. It builds flexibility. And most importantly, it allows investments to compound over time. Think about it this way. If you consistently invest even a modest amount every month because you're spending less than you earn, that money begins accumulating month after month, year after year. At first, growth feels slow, but over time it accelerates. And this is where the cobwebs to cables idea becomes real. Every time you choose to avoid unnecessary spending, every time you keep your lifestyle stable instead of upgrading it, you are strengthening your financial foundation. And combined with automation and a conscious spending plan, living below your means becomes effortless. You no longer need to rely on motivation. The system handles it, the structure handles it, your habits handle it, and now your money has space to grow. But there's one more critical step before wealth truly begins to build momentum. Because even if you save and invest consistently, there is something that can silently destroy your progress: high-interest debt. And that's the next habit we need to address. Before you can truly accelerate toward 100K, you must remove anything that works against you. And the biggest enemy in this category is high-interest debt. Credit cards, personal loans with high rates, any debt charging double-digit interest. These are often called wealth killers, and for good reason. Because high-interest debt doesn't just slow you down, it actively competes against your investments. Imagine this. You invest money expecting an average return over time. But at the same time, you're paying 18 to 25% interest on credit card debt. That interest grows every month, quietly, relentlessly, and it can easily outperform your investment returns. So while you think you're building wealth, you're actually running in place. That's why eliminating high-interest debt is not just smart, it's essential. Every dollar you use to pay off high-interest debt is effectively giving you a guaranteed return equal to the interest rate you were paying. If your credit card charges 20% interest, paying it off is like earning a risk-free 20% return. That's incredibly powerful. And once that debt is gone, something remarkable happens. The money that was previously going toward interest can now go toward investments, which means your wealth-building engine gets stronger immediately. No waiting, no guessing, just instant improvement. Many people delay this step because they want to invest first. But in most cases, removing high-interest debt should come before aggressive investing. Why? Because debt reduces your financial flexibility. It increases stress, and it slows compounding. Think of debt as a leak in a water tank. You can keep pouring water in, but if the leak remains, you never build enough pressure. Eliminate the leak, then the tank fills properly. Once high-interest debt is handled, your financial foundation becomes much stronger. Now, your savings can grow without being drained. Your investments can compound without interference. And your money system becomes cleaner and more efficient. This creates stability. And stability is critical when building toward 100K. Because the next habit is about protection. Not growth, but protection. And that protection is what allows you to stay consistent when life becomes unpredictable. That habit is building a financial moat. If you want your journey to 100K to feel stable instead of stressful, you need protection. That protection is your financial moat. also known as an emergency fund. An emergency fund is boring. It doesn't generate excitement, it doesn't grow aggressively, and it doesn't feel impressive when you talk about it. But it is one of the most powerful wealth-building tools you can have, because life is unpredictable. Car repairs, medical expenses, job changes, unexpected family costs, temporary income disruptions. These events don't ask for permission. They simply happen. And when people don't have savings, they usually respond in one of two ways. They use credit cards or they stop investing. Both decisions slow wealth building. An emergency fund prevents that. It acts as a financial buffer between you and life's surprises. Most experts recommend saving 3 to 6 months of essential expenses. That means if your monthly necessities cost $1,500, you aim for $4,500 to $9,000 in your emergency fund. This money is not for investing. It's not for vacations. It's not for upgrades. It's for protection. Think of it like building a moat around a castle. The moat doesn't attack anyone. It simply prevents threats from reaching the foundation. When you have this buffer in place, something important changes psychologically. You become calmer with money. You stop fearing small emergencies. You stop feeling pressured to borrow when something unexpected happens. And that emotional stability helps you stay consistent with your investments. Consistency is everything when building towards 100K. Because remember, this milestone is not reached through dramatic decisions. It's reached through uninterrupted habits. An emergency fund ensures that your investment plan doesn't get interrupted, even during difficult times, even during uncertainty. With automation running, with a spending plan in place, with debt reduced, and with a financial moat built, you now have the core structure of wealth. But structure alone isn't enough. You must also put your money to work in the right way. And that leads to the next boring habit: consistent investing in low-cost index funds. Once your foundation is stable, automation, controlled spending, no high-interest debt, and a solid emergency fund, it's time to let your money start doing the heavy lifting. And the simplest way to do that is through consistent investing in low-cost index funds. This habit is boring. There's no excitement, no constant buying and selling, no trying to predict the market, just steady, automatic investing. Index funds are designed to track the overall market rather than trying to beat it. Instead of choosing individual stocks and hoping they outperform, you invest in a broad collection of companies at once. This instantly gives you diversification, and diversification reduces risk. Many people think wealth comes from finding the next big stock, but historically, long-term wealth has come from something much simpler: staying invested over time. Trying to time the market often leads to emotional decisions. People buy when prices feel exciting. They sell when prices feel scary. But consistent investors do something different. They invest regularly, regardless of headlines. That removes emotion from the process. When you automate investments into index funds, you create a system that grows quietly in the background, month after month, year after year. At first, progress may feel slow, especially before 100K. But here's the important part. Once your investments cross that threshold, growth begins to accelerate because compound returns start contributing more meaningfully to your net worth. Your money begins generating its own money. And that's when wealth building shifts from effort-based to momentum-based. Consistency is the key. Not prediction, not timing, not complexity, just disciplined, low-cost, long-term investing. This habit alone won't make you rich overnight, but combined with the previous habits, it becomes extremely powerful. Because now, you're saving automatically, you're spending intentionally, you've eliminated high-interest debt, you have emergency protection, and your money is invested efficiently. At this point, your system is strong, but there's one more layer that separates average savers from serious wealth builders, and that's actively increasing your income while keeping your lifestyle stable. So far, we've focused heavily on controlling money, automation, spending plans, living below your means, eliminating debt, investing consistently. But there's another powerful lever in wealth building: increasing your income. Now, here's the important part. Increasing income alone does not build 100K. Many people earn more every year, yet never build significant savings. Why? Because their expenses rise with their income. That's why this habit works best when combined with everything else. The strategy is simple. When you earn more, don't upgrade your lifestyle immediately. Instead, keep your expenses stable and direct the extra income toward investments. This could come from asking for a raise, learning a high-value skill, taking freelance projects, starting a small side business, switching to a higher-paying role. Income growth accelerates wealth, but only if the surplus is invested, not spent. Think about the math. If you increase your monthly income by just $500 and invest it consistently, that alone becomes $6,000 per year. Over time, that difference compounds significantly. And unlike cutting expenses, which has a limit, income has almost no ceiling. That's why wealth builders focus on both sides: expense control plus income expansion. The key is discipline. Every time your income rises, you resist lifestyle inflation. You keep your spending plan intact, and you let the extra money strengthen your investment system. This habit transforms your wealth trajectory, because instead of relying only on small savings, you start adding larger contributions. And that speeds up your path toward 100K. Now, there's one final habit that ties everything together. It's not about numbers. It's about reflection. Because building wealth isn't just financial. It's psychological. And that's where the annual review comes in. Now, let's bring everything together. Because building your first $100,000 isn't about one big move. It's about stacking boring habits until they become powerful. Here are the final 3 habits that complete the system. Habit number 8, monthly money check-ins. Once a month, review your numbers. Are you overspending? Are your investments on track? Is your emergency fund growing? This simple 20 to 30-minute review keeps you aligned with your goals. It prevents small problems from becoming big ones, and it keeps your vision of a rich life clear in your mind. Consistency beats perfection. Habit number 9, always hunt for more income. We already discussed this, but it deserves emphasis. Wealth builders are always improving their earning ability. They negotiate raises, they upgrade skills, they explore side income opportunities. But they don't inflate their lifestyle every time income increases. They keep expenses stable and invest the difference. That's how income growth turns into net worth growth. Habit number 10, annual rich life review. Once a year, step back and ask, are my money rules still serving me? Am I closer to financial freedom? What habits need improvement? This review ensures you stay intentional, because wealth isn't just about numbers. It's about designing a life you actually want. The $100,000 mindset shift. Now, here's why this milestone matters so much. The first $100,000 is the hardest, not because it's the biggest amount, but because you're building the foundation. Before 100K, progress can feel slow. After 100K, compounding begins accelerating. Your investments start generating meaningful returns. Growth becomes visible. Momentum builds. And something powerful happens psychologically. Goals that once felt impossible, like $1 million, suddenly feel realistic because you've proven to yourself that you can save consistently, you can invest automatically, you can live below your means, you can stay disciplined. You've built financial confidence, and confidence changes everything. The truth is simple. Wealth isn't created by excitement, it's created by routine. These 10 boring habits may not look impressive individually, but together they transform cobwebs into cables, and cables into financial strength. If you commit to them consistently, your first 100K won't be a dream, it will be a milestone. And after that, the journey only gets easier, because now you have the system, and the system is what builds serious money.